Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular scheduled meeting for the Beavercreek City Council. And before we start the official part of the meeting tonight, I'd like to invite two young men to join me, Andrew and Sean, if you'd come up to the plate. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very good. Glad you're here. All right, we have a parks proclamation we'd like to make tonight. And so I'd like to read this. And it says, whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of our community and build healthy, active communities. And whereas parks and recreation are vitally important in establishing and maintaining the quality of life and ensuring the health of all Beavercreek citizens. And whereas recreation builds family unity, strengthens neighborhood involvement, provides for social interaction, enhances education, develops creativity, and promotes cultural diversity. That's a long one.
It was, yes.
And whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, the attraction and retention of businesses, and provide beauty for our community, as well as a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate. And whereas parks and recreation programs strengthen and enhance our community, making Beavercreek a safer, healthier, and more enjoyable place to live. Now therefore, I, Bob Stone, Mayor of the City of Beavercreek, along with the entire Beavercreek City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of July 2018 as Parks and Recreation Month in the City of Beavercreek, and encourage our residents to visit our parks and trails and participate in our programs and special events that enhance the quality of life in Beavercreek. So gentlemen, are you going to accept this for the Parks Department?
Yes, sir.
Well, we appreciate you being here, and would you have any comments you'd like to make about parks?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I've been working as a camp counselor now for a couple of years, and I believe the kids have fun there, and I hope we're making a change in their lives. And 4th of July is coming up. We'll be shooting off fireworks over there at Rotary Park. You guys can all welcome to come. That's about it.
Sean, do you have anything you'd like to add?
You should definitely come out to summer camp if you're old enough. It's pretty fun.
All right, well, thank you very much. We appreciate it. All right, and now if we can call to order the regular portion of the meeting, may we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Curran.
Here.
Councilmember Literal. Here. Councilmember Rushing.
Here.
Councilmember Upton. Councilmember Van. Vice Mayor Garcia. Here. Mayor Stone.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a motion to excuse me, Councilmember Upton and Councilmember Van.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to excuse Councilmember Upton and Van. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And we have Scout Troop 14 with us this evening. And I would like to ask these young men to join us up front at the microphone and introduce yourself. And when we're done with that, you can lead us in the pledge. So just
That's cute.
head over to that microphone and be bold about it.
Okay, I'm James Leishman, and I am the webmaster of the troop.
Fantastic. Next.
I am Dallin Prisbila, and I am a patrol leader.
All right.
I'm Michael Leishman, and I am an assistant patrol leader.
Fantastic.
I am Peter Taylor, and I am a quartermaster.
All right.
I am Austin Herbold, and I'm just a member of the troop. I'm Jacob Walquist, and I'm just a member of the troop.
There's no justice in Boy Scouts, that's for sure.
I'm Liam Hammond, and I'm the chaplain's aide of the troop.
Thank you.
I'm William Kirchner, and I'm the senior patrol leader of the troop.
All right. Well
Good.
done.
Great.
All right, gentlemen, would everybody please stand for the pledge? And I will ask our scouts to lead us when you're ready.
Pledge allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Troop 14, and if you can remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. I did not notice any pens for the troops to be taking notes, so they have questions afterwards, though. Oh. All right. If you do stay around, you're more than welcome to come up and talk to us afterwards. We'd love to talk to you. We have an agenda before us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as submitted?
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
I have a motion to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Approval of the minutes. First off, June 11th, 2018, regular scheduled meeting. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the June 11th meeting minutes. Second.
A motion and a second to approve the June 11th regular meeting minutes as submitted. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Next is the approval of the minutes for the June 18th, 2018 work session.
So moved.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion to approve and a second to approve the June 18th minutes as submitted. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Abstentions, motion carries. Next, public hearing, PUD 93-4.
This is an application filed by Quinn Gadow, 11501 North Lake Drive, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45249. The application requests a major modification to the specific site plan to allow for the construction of a 4-tenant building located on the southeast side of Center Drive and Crossing Boulevard. The property is further described as Book 4, page 2, parcel 21 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. I see the applicant is eager.
Yes,
Please.
sir.
Give
Good
us
evening.
a name and address, please. And we're ready to
Edward
go.
Broush, 2800 Corporate Exchange Drive in Columbus.
Okay, thank you.
I'm with CESO, the engineering firm hired to do the site development here. As you heard, to the Beavercreek Town Center, 675 in Fairfield, bookended by Lowe's and Kohl's in that development. So this is an outlot of the parking lot that they're proposing to do. It'll be a 4-unit, single-story development of that site. Pretty basic from there. The leasing that they've got going, again, it'll be 4 units. We've gone through the planning commission already to have them look at this. Architecturally, it'll match what the rest of the development has. The owners have looked at that, and they're good with what we have on the architectural front. From an engineering standpoint, as the site develops, we'll have access to all the utilities that we need in the area. We'll bring some on site because it's just a parking lot as it is right now of the overall larger development. But everything is nearby because you have a lot of other businesses right across the street from there. So access is easy to get to from that aspect. We will be taking up some parking spots from the development. The building's going to sit in the center of essentially a triangle portion of the parking lot there. So you have a building in the middle. There'll be existing parking will remain around it, and then you have a very large parking lot directly to the east of that if you needed any overflow with what the traffic the businesses would bring in. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward and basic site layout. We don't have any concerns with it. The landscaping will match close to what's already there. We'll redo some of the trees and bushes, but we'll keep it to look like the rest of the development, and it will actually slightly increase the green space of the area, so we're not going to increase impervious area when you're looking at your stormwater and runoff and everything. So unless there are any questions, that's what I have for you this evening.
All right, well, appreciate it. We may have some questions a little bit later.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McGrath have some input here?
Sir, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. As has been outlined, working at PUD 93-4. This is a PUD, obviously, by the numbers that date back to the early 90s. This is before you first major modification, because if there wasn't an allotted 468 6,498 square foot permitted on this site. That was anticipated with the type of stores that'd be located there in the parking field. Since then, there's been expansion. Really, the build out was with the expansion of the Kohl's building a couple years ago. But what we've seen now is a major modification request to add an additional outlot into this development located here. If you're familiar, this is really the immediate parking area for the Kohl's shopping centers. You move down, as was outlined, Fresh Time, and then you get all the way down to Lowe's. Most of the year, that parking lot is never really more than 50% parked. So if you look at the development, what they're proposing today, if you look at 50% of this, 2 out of the 4 tenants going to restaurant use, they would need 32 parking spaces plus the number of employees. They're providing 44 immediately adjacent to the building that they're proposing for your consideration this evening. So even with that, if it goes over the 50%, they do have sufficient parking located within 100 feet of the property that should be able to handle any overflow should there ever be any. You can see from the site plan, with that in mind, we did require that there be a crosswalk included here along with some signage alerting the vehicles to pedestrian crossing in that location. So the parking we felt was sufficient to meet the requirements with the addition of the pedestrian safety measures that they're planning to add to the site. As was mentioned, you can see it's pretty much a parking field now, so even with the parking, the additional landscaping will increase the overall green space for the site slightly. We're requiring that all the lighting be matched the existing lighting out on the site, so there's nothing different at this location. And there are provisions in the motion for your consideration regarding signage for this development. With that, staff and planning commission are recommending approval of this request, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them after the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is a public hearing, so I would ask if there's anyone present this evening that would like to address council on this issue. Please come forward, give us your name and address. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and we will go into council input. And Councilmember Literal, would you like to start?
Mr. Grath, I just have a couple questions. Since that's an outline lot and was designed as such for just this type of occasion, do we know what type of business is going to go in there, or is it going to be four, because they mentioned four? Is it going to be similar to the new facility that's being built where we're going to have the pizza and
Right. As you may recall, this was an existing Logan Steakhouse that's
Right.
been repurposed for, at the time you considered that, there was unnamed tenants,
Right.
but there was 3 tenant spaces there. Since then, they've announced that Jason Deli will be located there, as well as a Giordano's pizza from Chicago. So there's 2 tenants to be named, the third to be named later. This is a similar situation we're looking at right now. It's these 4 tenants. We don't know the nature of the tenants at this point.
And that's fine on the so it's 4, and so will they all have the same entrance? I mean, is it going to be laid out like our new facility that's being constructed?
You can see
right there.
they'll all share storefronts.
So they're going to share okay.
So they'll have separate entryways. You can see there's tenant dividing walls that are
Right.
subject to change. Right now, the preliminary design is for 4 tenants. Now, if somebody needs a bigger space, it could go down to 3. These walls are movable, but each one will have a separate entrance into the facility, their own individual tenant space.
Okay, thank you. That answered my question.
Okay.
Councilmember Rushing.
Thank you. Looking towards the future, is there any plans or maybe any thought to maybe connect the different locations together to make it walkable? Someone could park at, restaurant, further towards North Fairfield and or cross center and go to the shopping center, or make it more walkable?
Yeah, what you've seen us try to do in some of these developments in the past is retrofit the sidewalks into this development. I think we had a significant conversation about that with the Logan's repurposing to get the sidewalk down from that site to Logan's, bring it in off North Fairfield Road. Problem is the original design makes that prohibitive based on ADA requirements given the steep slope down to the site from North Fairfield Road. But that's a very good point. We've done that with the mall. Almost every outlaw you see redeveloping the mall has added sidewalks. Almost every development we have that's vacant space or being repurposed, we try to connect to it what makes sense on an existing sidewalk pattern there. But this is kind of in the middle of nowhere, so we'd have to be looking where we could do that. I mean, you could see we made some effort with McDonald's. Okay, we made some effort there. I mean, we're trying to do what we can do to make sense here, and I think that would be maybe along this other side to bring that through that, because that's a huge intersection right there. It's pretty spaced off. To getting people across there is a little difficult. But you can see we have an attempt to do that with this sidewalk here, and we'll try to make sure that continues where it makes sense.
I'm just mentioning it more as as it becomes fully developed as a destination.
Absolutely.
Someone can go to a restaurant and go shopping. I do know not that often, but some students from Wright State do try to come over, and with the pedestrian bridge, it could help. But something to keep in mind. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Carr.
Who owns the flag?
That was installed by the Gunlock organization. This was owned by a partnership of Miller Valentine and the Gunlocks. The property has since sold in the last couple years. The owner, it escapes me right now, but whoever purchased the property from MVRG is now the owner of that flag.
Will that flag remain?
It will.
Okay. Mr. Quint, thank you.
Okay. Jeff, this is over and above the original PUD square footage?
The approved site plan, if it was anything legislative in the zoning, then we would have to be here for a PUD amendment, but you're correct, in the original specific site plan approval, there was a specific square footage approved.
Okay. Well, I'm guessing that particular little parking lot does not get much use.
Right.
Where it's located, and so I think I'm good with this request, but I also believe we need to do our due diligence to encourage some of our empty storefronts and I'm sure you're doing that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the challenge with the storefronts are the size itself.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're looking at about 1,100 square feet here as opposed to 35,000 square feet in some of those locations.
Yeah.
But we are actively looking for people to break those large centers up, make it a little more sustainable over time, so we're not dealing with the turnover. We have a lot of people interested in some of those locations, which I imagine some of the vacancies will fill fairly quickly. But I understand that.
I think the smaller places are going to be the wave of the future when you're doing. Everybody's doing the big stores, box stores online. But
right.
So, all right, I appreciate the information.
Thank you.
Any other comments from council?
I just have one question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I forgot to call on you, didn't I?
No, you're fine. I just have a quick question. Can you show me again where the entrance points will be?
Yeah, here and here.
Okay, so there won't be anything coming off of Center Drive if you come in off of North Fairfield Road?
No. There won't be any access off the Center Drive here, that intersection.
So with the two entrance points that we have, will those be two-way entrances and exits? Because the question I'm wondering is similar to Chick-fil-A, where they have one way in and only one way out on either side. Is that how it will be here, or can you go exit and enter from either of those 2 points? My only concern is that stop sign as you go to the light to get out either to North Fairfield Road, or if you're going to shoot across to try to get to that complex by Cadillac Jack's or whatever it's changed its name to again.
Yeah, this will be two-way both sides. So
Okay.
you'll be able to, because you tell if it wasn't, we'd have to have the angled parking here to back out and come this way, but you're able to back out and go either way, this way or this way.
Okay,
and
yeah.
all around the site. So it's wide enough for the circulation to go two ways around the entire site.
I think that'll be fine. I just, like I said, my only concern was if you get a situation like you have at Chick-fil-A where you can only come in one side and exit
Right.
out the other, it may cause a little congestion or a little trouble for people coming in off of North Fairfield, but I think that looks good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The only thing that will be one way I want to point out, though, is this will be like a service entrance, deliveries and trash and the like. There'll be a do not enter sign here, and this is one-way traffic coming in this way.
Smart, yeah. Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you. Now, any further comments by council? You have the verbiage for a motion if there's anybody wishing to make one in front of you.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
For the PUD 93-4, I would like to read the following, is that I move for the purpose of taking administrative action approval of a major modification to a PUD-specific site plan for the Beavercreek Ground Up Outlot, which is PUD 93-4, as I mentioned, mod 4/18, on the basis that City Council finds the facts submitted with the application and accompanying materials, and modifications, amendments, and supplementary conditions satisfy the standards and criteria for the PUD detailed site plan, as per 158.070 of the zoning code. Supplementary conditions required of this approval shall be as follows, which there are 15. I further move that this motion with all conditions be fully recorded in the minutes of this council meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? I have a motion and a second to approve the major modification to PUD 93-4 Mod 418. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. Next, public hearing, PC 11-2.
This is an application filed by James D. Connell, 3650 Somerset Drive, Beavercreek, Ohio, 45431. The application requests a major modification for 3.326 acres of land to allow for the construction of a 3,500 square foot gymnasium in addition to the existing child care facility located at 1481 North Fairfield Road. The property is further described as Book 5, Page 5, Parcel 183 on the Greene County Property Tax Atlas.
Thank you. Do we have an applicant present that would like to address council? Seeing none, do we have staff that would like to address?
Thanks again, Mr. Mayor. As we're here this evening considering another major modification request to a specific site plan. This is for the Inspired Daycare Center located the old Christmas shop, the old Bruni's Wine Shop, right there at the intersection of North Fairfield Road and Lance Road. Inspired came to us a couple years ago for an approval of an ASRA, so we're looking at a major modification to that administrative site plan review and approval process. It is zone B2. The property was approved to be repurposed and expanded back in 2011, and since then they have seen a need for continued expansion to provide more activities within the interior of the building for their students. So what you see is an addition to the site here. You can see it in a 3D model put together on Google Earth here. That would be for some indoor activity areas as well as the installation of a basketball court or a gymnasium for kids to utilize for their physical activities during the winter months. So what we've seen is this blue area is where the expansion will occur. The fence will be relocated back to this location from over this area. They're working with the city engineers on the stormwater detention to make sure that the existing facilities are designed to contain the water that will be added from this impervious surface. Again, they're adding about 20 more students and maybe 2 teachers as a result of this expansion. So we have added condition that they add 6 additional parking spaces to the site, which you can see here is just an expansion of their current dead end of their parking lot here. So there'll be an additional 3 spots on both the north and south side of that parking lot to help accommodate this addition. Architecturally, the plans do match the existing facility, so it'll seem like a seamless addition to the property. It won't stand out. It'll be more architecturally compatible and blend in with the existing facility. But with that, we are recommending approval as well as a recommendation of approval from Planning Commission, and we will answer any questions you have following the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. This is public hearing portion. Is there anyone present this evening who would like to address council on this application? Seeing none, we will move on. Council input. Mr. Councilmember Curran?
Nothing at this time, Your Honor.
All right. Councilmember Rushing? Councilmember Little?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. McGrath, I know you've already covered this, but just so that I know you have, and just because, you know, the drainage that runs down here in the barrier with the concrete,
Yeah.
is that going to have any impact, or they're going to have to redo any of that?
Um,
I'm just curious because I know that when it was built the first time, we had to look at that.
Oh yeah, that was installed in 2011. That was something they did when the new EPA requirements plus
Right.
the addition of the
That's why I was
impervious
curious.
surface. I don't know the design. I know that there was a comment in the staff report that they're working with the engineer on the capacity. Obviously, we will not issue any permits until they say it's sufficiently designed to contain any of the additional impervious surface water runoff.
All right, so I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. No other questions, sir.
Thank you. Vice Mayor Garcia.
None, thank you.
All right. And no, I don't have any comments either, other than to say it's very nice to see a local company be successful and expand. So kudos to the owners of that business. Once again, we have a motion that is in front of you this evening. If there's someone that would like to make it.
Motion to approve, Mr. Mayor, Public PC 11-2 mod. I move for the purpose of taking administrative action, approval of a major modification to an ASRA detailed site plan for the Inspire Center for Learning. It's a PC 11-2 on the basis that City Council finds the facts submitted with the application and accompanying materials and modifications, amendments, and supplementary conditions satisfied the standards and criteria for an ASRA detailed site plan, as per 158.083 of the zoning code. Supplementary conditions required of this approval shall be as follows, which there are 7. I further move that this council, move this motion with all conditions be fully recorded in the council meeting this evening with all 7.
Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second to approve a major modification to an ASRA PC 11-2. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you. Next, ordinances, resolutions, and PUDs.
This is a second reading of an ordinance providing for the submission to the electric amendments of the charter of the City of Beavercreek, Ohio, and to place the same on the ballot at the general election November 6, 2018.
Thank you. This is the second reading, so it is naturally a public hearing. So is there anyone present this evening that would like to address council on this proposed ordinance?
Harold Lewis, 1423 Town Hall. I've sat on 2 charter review commissions where we came up with recommendations on how to replace a council member. The city councils always elected not to take our recommendation. Our recommendation was simple. You go back to the most recent election, whoever lost, you ask them, do you want to be on council? If you go through it and you don't get anybody, then you have to use this methodology. The reason for it was we didn't like council, 6 members picking a council member. During the term limit, the direct election of mayor, we kept hearing about 10, 12% of the people can elect a mayor. Well, that's going to hold true in our current procedure, but I don't know why people kept saying that. But why can't we use that methodology? 2 charter review commissions brought that forth, and no city council elected to consider it. Why? It was a good recommendation. Other cities use it. Why should 6 members of this community pick a council member? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Is there anyone else? Okay. Mr. McHugh, you are suggesting that we amend these ordinance?
Yes, I am, Mayor and Council, to amend it to add so that it would, on third reading, be adopted as an emergency. The reason being is that under the Ohio Constitution, there's a very short period of time that a ordinance has to be both introduced and adopted, and because of 3 readings in 30 days, we're effectively right at the very, very limit of time. And therefore, in order to give the proper parcel should council and time, so should council approve this and get on the ballot, I want to make sure we have time, and actually the clerk has time to get it on there before the deadline. Otherwise, if something goes astray, it won't work.
Okay. So you heard what is suggested. That would be the only action tonight, would be to amend it to read that it is to be approved as an emergency on the third reading. Do I have any discussion on that? Is there anyone that would like to make that motion?
I move to amend ordinance 1807 to approve as an emergency on the third reading, Your Honor.
1809, please.
1809, excuse me.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to amend ordinance 1809. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion does carry. So the motion will naturally move on to the third reading at the next regular scheduled
Thank you, Mayor.
council meeting. Next on the agenda is ordinance 18-12.
This is the first reading of an ordinance providing for the issuance of not to exceed $350,000 road improvement special assessment bonds traditions at Beavercreek project by the city of Beavercreek, Ohio.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. We're here to talk about a bond issuance coming up in September. And I wanted to give you a little background. It's been a while since we've done some assessments and some bands that have moved into the bonds. So I wanted to briefly go through the process with you real quick, just for the record. Obviously, we start off in the process with, right now it's the construction and financing phase, but going back, the original owner signs a special petition, assessment petition, indicating their desire to have the city construct the infrastructure and their willingness to cover the costs through the assessments. The City Council adopts that resolution and finds that it's conducive to the health, convenience, and welfare of the city. We do pass a ordinance citing the petition and the resolution of the necessity, and then engineering places it on their capital improvement calendar for the upcoming season for bidding and construction. And then normally what we do is we prepare, finance does, the legislations to sell the bond anticipation note, which is usually designed to, it's a one-year note designed to get the funding associated with the construction costs for that project. Right now, engineering has developed the specs, and they put it out to bid, and I think it just opened up last week or the week before. And now that we've got the cost associated with it and the cost of issuing the bands, in this case we issued a couple of bands, we're ready to turn this into a long-term note. The property owner at the end of this, but before we issue the bond, also does have the ability to elect to pay the entire thing outright before we go ahead and assess it. So what you see is the in this bond issuance, the construction cost, the issuance cost of the bands, the interest on those bands, and the issuance costs for the bonds all rolled up into the dollar amount that you're seeing in the ordinance. This project started in 2015. It's been delayed. You know that there's been a lot of construction on Shakertown itself, and originally we were going to just upgrade that section right in front of Traditions through this ban and bond process. But what actually happened was that the scope expanded to a much larger project, and so we kept postponing it to do it all at one time. So again, the expansion actually will create a 3-lane throughway now from Autumn Springs to Grange Hall on the east side of Grange Hall. So again, with that extended project, this is why we had to delay it a couple of years, was that we had to do some additional design work, utility relocation, and had to buy some right-of-way in order to get the project up and running. Fortunately, because of the delay in getting all that project and remodifying it, we were actually able to secure some grant money to assist with that larger project. So that helped the city's cost involved in all, that whole thing. I know this is hard to see, but I wanted to show you that the original portion that was to be assessed, and if you look at it, the bottom part is really an extension of the top section. The yellow really is the amount that was going to be in the project, the assessment amount, and you can see how the project got expanded to correspond with the work that was done on Shakertown west of Grange Hall. So again, I just wanted to show you that because, again, you see all the level of detail in there, and that's what pretty much caused the delay, but to the benefit of the city and the property owner. So again, the project expanded. It is now a $1.2 million project with half the funding coming from OPWC grant funding. The city share is about 33%, $396,000, and the Traditions now is $204,000, or about 17% of that total project cost. So that's the assessment amount. So what we do now at this point is we're issuing the ordinance to actually sell the bond out there. And again, the bond itself is a 20-year bond, and what it's designed to do is to cover all the costs associated with getting the project completed, all the issuance costs, all of the costs wrapped up into an amount that's in the bond. The bond ordinance that you have is actually a not to exceed amount, and it's fairly high. You see that the actual cost is $204. We built some additional room in there in the event that something were to transpire from now until we actually issue the bond in the end of August. So again, it's always written as a not to exceed. It's always a higher amount, and the interest rate also is a not to exceed 5.5%. Again, we're hoping with our real good bond rating that we can actually get that down a little bit. But again, you just saw that the Fed increased the rates, which increases everybody's rates along the way. So what we're intending to do then is once that's issued, the debt service is brought forward, and then the assessments are designed to cover that debt service for the next 20 years. And the reason why we're doing this now, and the timing is a little bit tight, is that we wanted to get it in for the 2018 property tax year so that their first invoice gets sent to them in 2019. The auditor's office actually has a window that we have to get it into them for the following year by September 10th, I believe. So again, it's a little bit of a tight window to get the bond issued and then get it settled, pay off the old band, and get all of this construction done. The ordinance was prepared by our bond counsel, and again, the tentative schedule is to sell them by the end of August and to get those all the money wired by September 21st. And with that, staff would recommend the approval of ordinance 1812. Be happy to answer any questions for you.
All right, thank you. Does anyone on council have any questions? Seems pretty straightforward. Thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 18-12 for Traditions of Beavercreek.
Second.
And move to the second and third.
I have a motion to approve, and a second to approve ordinance 18-12, moving it on to the second and third reading. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions, motion carries. Thank you. Next, resolution 18-26, Mr. Brandenburg.
This is a resolution to authorize the application for the Ohio BWC Safety Intervention Grant Program on behalf of the Beavercreek Public Service Division.
Yes, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. It's my pleasure tonight to be here tonight asking for your support in our application for the Ohio BWC Safety Intervention Program grant. It's a 3-to-1 grant program that will fund about 75% of an $18,000 equipment purchase for the Public Service Department. In our proposal, we're going to purchase a new plate compactor and a demolition hammer for the city's excavators. This will replace some manually operated equipment and thus reduce the risk of exposure to back injuries, and there's a number of injuries that bending, twisting, trip hazards, vibration, all those kind of things. So the city's share will be around $4,500, and we have this approved in the 2018 capital budget for the 203 fund. So
all right.
We will be prepared to apply for that grant about mid-July.
Anytime we can get some outside revenue, that's always good, isn't it?
Yes.
Anyone on council have any comments or questions?
Just again, as the mayor said, we appreciate the way all of the directors work diligently to find other opportunities for funding, and especially with the, what is that, 80 is it what's the percentage?
It's a 75-25.
75-25, so excellent. So
Take it
great
any
work.
day.
And great equipment helps reduce injuries to our employees that work so hard, so great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brandenburg.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion or further discussion?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 18-26. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Abstentions. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Go down to, next is the mayor's report. And most of you heard earlier in the program that it's Parks and Rec Month. And we got a lot of kudos go to our Parks and Recreation Department, especially with the help of the public in approving that parks levy a couple years back. They've just done some fantastic things in the community. I went to the event last night at Lafino Park. Councilmember Kern and I were there, and there must have been close to 500 people. Big crowd. Now, this was the Kettering Civic Band, so maybe some of those people were Kettering, but it doesn't matter. It was a very, very nice crowd, very well done. So they have really done a fantastic job, so I want to pat them on the back for that. The Heartfulness Center, you guys, 2 weeks ago, I think they were here and gave us each a book, as you remember, on meditation. Well, they had their author for a signing this weekend as well. So I went there, and it was very. This gentleman is not only an author, he is a very good speaker. So if you ever get a chance to listen to him, he's very good. Systems Go, which is Wright-Patterson Air Force Band jazz band portion, is going to be at the Phrase Wednesday, and it's a free concert. So anybody that might want to get out and enjoy a little jazz music from the Air Force Band of Flight, I think I'm going to try to go for sure, and so you might want to head to Kettering. We'll go to Kettering since some of them came to ours last night. But also we have a new base commander. Colonel McDonald is retiring, and our new base commander is Colonel Sherman. So we'll probably get a chance to meet him at some point down the road. And seems to be very eager to take on the task. So we jokingly, and they do too, we call him the mayor of Wright-Pat. So they do a nice job for us. Let's see, what else did I have on here? I think that's about it for the mayor's report right now. So we'll go to council time. And would you like to start, Councilman?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I would love to. I would like to talk about the 4th of July, which honestly, it's the end of June already. First of summer was here just a couple days ago, and it's already July. So just want to remind everyone that the 4th of July celebration is going to be next Wednesday at Rotary Park, July the 3rd, 6 p.m. The parade starts, so Dayton Xenia Road. Please remember that the roads will be closed off. We will have our COPPs and park people, I think, are helping direct traffic. So it gets a little congested up there. So if you're not heading that way, I would avoid that area. But we hope you are going that way because we want everyone to come out to the 4th of July celebration. And we cannot thank all of the sponsors, but a big shout out to UES, who is our primary sponsor, along with several other, including the Park District, Decoy Arts, Beavercreek Township, the Fairfield Commons, Soin, and BCLC, and several others. There's going to be great fun. Again, we have the floats. Hopefully, people will have their floats out. They'll be judging that. They'll have the parade, and then it'll go down through to the high school. It'll end there, and then you can go on up to Rotary. They'll have food and fireworks. It's going to be a great fun, great community event. So again, it's Parks and Rec Month, and our Parks Department, along with all of the volunteers, have just done a wonderful job along with the sponsorship so that this event can happen, because it's not a city-funded event, so to speak. It's all ran on donor sponsorship and donors from the community. So thank them all. And former Mayor Jarvis will be the Grand Marshal, and he's delighted about that. So glad to have everyone on board, and it's going to be a great event. And the mayor has us. We'll all be in the parade, so you can shout out to us in some miatas. So.
And Mayor Jarvis just might be at a dunk tank too, for anybody that's
that would be
interested.
great.
Now,
We
yeah.
have a dunk
Yeah.
tank. Yes, dunk tank. So
Just in
yes,
case,
we are having
just
a dunk
saying.
tank. So we have some scouts in the audience. We hope you all will come. So all right.
Just to follow up on that, the mayor of Riverside and the mayor of Xenia are going to be in our parade. The mayor of Fairborn has been in the past, but is not available this week. But just as little neighborly back and forth. So
It's nice to have everyone again. It's that collaboration between all of those community partners.
Councilmember Rush.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you to council for responding. But just as a reminder, Green Cats, our county public transit board, has invited us, the council, to go on a ride on July 16th. So if you'd like to go on that flex route, please send me an email, and we'll get that scheduled. The only thing else I'd like to add is that this Friday, once again, we have party on the patio at the golf club. I know the mayor and I were at the last, and it's always a great event. They have live music. There's no cover charge. Just come, bring your friends, family, and enjoy our beautiful golf club. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Curran.
Just to reiterate, Mayor, what you said about the fine activities over at Lafino Park and the nice variety of musical selections that the Parks Department has put together for this season are outstanding. And just as the mayor said, there was a great crowd there the other night, and I'm sure we'll have continuing large crowds.
Even if you didn't save me a seat at Jet Freeze afterwards?
That's true.
That's right. Vice Mayor Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just 2 points this evening. I was invited to attend a briefing by the Manufacturers Association project of the National Association of Manufacturers regarding public nuisance claimants litigation that's going on across the country. So, Mr. McHugh, I don't know if you've heard of this or not, but apparently there are so far 11 lawsuits across the country, including California, Colorado, and New York, where attorneys are going to cities and soliciting them to partake in these lawsuits. So, the question's becoming, they'll sue Exxon. Did Exxon really cause New York to have flooding in a certain year? Or did Exxon really cause the beaches to erode on the East Coast or the West Coast? So this briefing had a lot of city council members across the nation, and I was invited to attend, basically just telling us some of the parameters and some of the legalese of these lawsuits, and giving cities some warnings that the cities may open themselves up to more liability than they think if they participate in these lawsuits. So it was interesting to hear some of the other problems that cities are having across the nation, and very grateful that we don't have them here in Beavercreek ourselves. And then also on July 21st, the mayor and I met with the city manager to go over his mid-year report, and I'm happy to say that the city manager received an overall excellent, exceeds expectations rating on his report this year. So thank you to everybody on council for filling that out. Just as a brief overview, there were 7 sections that were kind of graded for the city manager for his mid-year review, and they were graded on a scale of exceeds expectations, meets expectations, or below expectations. And then to allow for further distinctions and assessments, we also added a plus or minus to be used for each of those categories. So this would allow a range of 9 rating categories from B minus, which would be below expectations, to an E plus, which would be exceeding expectations. So very quickly, I'll run through just the 7 categories. The first was administration and planning, and the city manager received an exceeds expectation rating in this category. Financial management, where the city manager received an E rating with a further rating of an E minus. Policy facilitation and execution, where the city manager received an exceeds expectations rating. Service delivery management, where the city manager also received an E rating with a further rating of E minus. Constituent services, where he received an exceeds expectations rating with a further rating of E minus. Communications also exceeds expectations with a further rating of E minus, and then also staff effectiveness where he received a rating of exceeds expectations. So again, overall, our city manager is doing a wonderful job. We're very happy with all the progress he's made over the past few months that he's been here, and we're very happy with all the work that he's been doing. And if council would like to see any further comments or any further assessments, those are going to be on file with HR for you guys to take a look. But Pete, thank you again for all the help that you do for us and all the work you do for our city.
All right, very good, thank you. And now, it is the city manager's time.
And you better exceed my expectations with this report.
Yes, ma'am. So after that, I have to let everybody down saying that Dayton Xenia Road is a little bit behind, so I won't be exceeding on that forefront. But the project on Dayton Xenia is running just a little bit behind because of the wet weather we've had. We've had a lot of rain. But it's not all bad news. It is coming along. It is now anticipated a majority of the sidewalk installation work will be complete within the next week or so. They were pouring concrete like mad today, so that should continue. Once the sidewalk work is complete, construction activities will then mostly be limited to the curb side, so behind the curb. Once that is, then that will allow the roadway to be reopened to all 3 lanes. The major work items listed in the month of July include parking lot restoration and of course, you know, the final grading, topsoil placement of the brick pavers in some areas and seating and final paving. We don't do the final layer of the asphalt until everything is done, because if they'd ever bring in a big truck or the backhoe comes and hits the pavement, then they have to redo something. But it's coming very quickly, and just a little bit more patience, and hopefully we'll forget about this, and well, at least for a couple years until we do the rest of it. But it's coming. Councilmember Littoral already mentioned the 4th of July, so I won't repeat that, but again, please come out not only for the parade, but for the fun activities down in Rotary Park. It is a blast. It is a lot of good times. So please come enjoy the festivities. Next, community playground build that's coming up at Gershparker Park. I attended the one at Spicer Heights last year. That was a good time. It's at 8 o'clock on July 7th. You don't have to be part of that immediate neighborhood to participate in this. Come out, join, volunteer, come out for the fun, the fellowship, say, hey, I lived out in this area. Come out and join us for that. I plan to try to be there as well. It just gets you to know it's more about the neighborhood, but about the community of Beavercreek as a whole. So it's a good time on that. I did want to give a little bit of kudos to Girl Scout troop, the Silver Squad. They had this as their project, and I heard a presentation and didn't realize it because sometimes staff is dealing with that and I didn't get to see it. But they gave a presentation at the Rotary on Friday, and they raised money, and Rotary helped them out a little bit, but they raised funding to help with this project specifically. And they've been scraping the swing sets, and they were told about how, scraping the rust off and all that. But the Girl Scout troop, the Silver Squad is what it's called, the Silver Squad Project. I give them kudos for the great work that they did, and thanks for all their help, and that's a great project. And things like that, that's, again, community involvement. That is, at the end of the day, what it is all about. So I'd like to thank them personally on that. Other than that, that's all I have tonight, Mayor.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with council's permission, I would like to add one last. There's a local family that's been very busy. I would like to congratulate Benjamin Michaels, Jason Michaels, and Kara Michaels. The 2 young men both received their Eagle Scout rank, and the young lady is receiving her Gold rank in Girl Scouts, which are the top awards in both areas. So I just wanted to, I have the letters in front of me that I'm going to send them, and I just wanted to congratulate them on their success. Gentlemen, you got something to look forward to down here. All right, with that, I am finished, and we will move on to citizen comment. Is there anyone in the audience this evening that would like to address council on any issue at all? Scouts don't have anything they want to talk about? Not tonight? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to the next item, which is adjournment. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.